Do you think that we're doing an overall good job with it? Because we're always so hard on ourselves for the American basketball system and look what the Europeans are doing, but we do have the best basketball players in the world. So do you think that we're just tough on ourselves? And what do you think that the ultimate flaw is in our system? What aren't we giving our young players as they develop?
That's a good question, and I think that there's always something to look at. There's always something, there's always something to blame something on. So I think, there had been some success of European basketball players, that come into the NBA, and then all of a sudden, American basketball is second fiddle to them. I highly doubt that. It's never going to be second fiddle to anybody, in my opinion, just because of look at the players in the league. Yes, there's a lot of European factors. There are guys in the top 30, top 40, top 50 in the NBA. There's a one or two in the top 10. But it's always going to be a majority of players in the United States, just for the athleticism, the size, and, the skill level might be a little bit, it's very even in that sense. But we're a little bit, we're a little bit hard on ourselves with that. I think we have to do a little bit better job on not only working with players. You see a bunch of trainers and a bunch of player development guys that work all over the world that do a good job trying to work with the players in the United States. But I think we have to do a better job of playing a lot more 3-on-3, 4-on-4, let them play basketball, and put them in situations and correct them and go with that. I think the best model for player development is playing 3-on-3 and 4-on-4. It's not necessarily, just getting in a gym and doing a bunch of dribble moves or a bunch of footwork. I think it's, first of all, identify to a player, this is your position. Here are the 5 or 6 things that you have to develop in this position to be successful, and then put them in a game situation of a 3-on-3, 4-on-4 half court where they're coming off screens and offensively and defensively and making adjustments. And that's a big thing. And to me, is just to put them in game spots.
One player you've worked with is Rajon Rondo, and he certainly has a lot of talent, and he certainly does a lot of things well, but he is not a good shooter. And I wonder, is that because his hands are just massive? They're like the size of those Disneyland teacups. And is there any way for him to get by that obstacle and become a very good shooter? And what would he need to do that?
It's tough. I mean, I think you have until a certain age to become a good shooter. Although Bruce Bowen did it, in the late 20s, early 30s, becoming one of the better three-point corner shooters in the league, and he was never known to be a shooter. I think it just takes daily repetition. And on the coach's side, just coaching him up and wanting him to shoot shots. I think when you get in a situation where you don't want the guy to shoot, I think that affects the psyche of the player. And yes, the fingers and the hands might have something to do with it. I haven't worked with Rondo in a while. The last time I worked with him was for the pre-draft camp, right before the draft in his rookie year. But one thing with Rondo that I always saw was his shot was a little mechanical, no question, but his elbow was always low. I've been taught from a young coaching age that getting your elbow above your eyebrow and your jump shot's going to at least give the ball a chance to go in. Now you need good mechanics, no question, but a low elbow and you're shooting line drives and you almost need to shoot a perfect shot to be successful. I think you just got to keep on coaching Rondo up daily. Get him in the gym 45 minutes. Get shots up. Just get shots up, and give him confidence. And in games, just say, hey, listen, Rondo, you're going to shoot 4 or 5 air balls, from 17 feet. Hey, listen, you got to keep shooting them and gather that confidence. It might never work. It might be a situation where he's always going to be a non-shooter. But I think a couple of things. You give him confidence and you continue to have that elbow as high as it can, and work on it, just getting in the gym every day. But listen, Boston's got a very good player development staff, and Doc does a great job with his guys. I'm sure they've tried a lot of different aspects with that. My biggest thing is when a shooter's if they're comfortable and they're confident, they're going to be good. And the problem is if they don't have any confidence and they keep changing their shot because they're not successful with it and they break it down again, you got to sort of stick with something for a while and just build on it.
I remember ESPN's own John Hollinger in a description of J.R. Smith's game said that he has so much talent and he uses only 1/3 of it. I wonder, from your perspective, who in the league is doing the least with their talent? Which guy would you choose as the guy who has so much potential but isn't accessing it?
Wow, that's a hard question, and Darko Milicic comes to mind, and I think Darko could have been a lot better than he showed. Obviously everybody's hard on him, being the second pick in the draft, and everyone's so hard on that factor, and but again, I think he had tremendous ability as a big man. You saw what he did in Orlando that one year when he left Detroit. I remember being in Chicago at the Bulls game when he had about 20 and 20. I think that he had a tremendous, he had tremendous ability and tremendous potential. But when you get beat up in the league mentally early on, and it's hard. Listen, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, those guys are going to become great players. Doesn't matter who is going to coach them. But there's a lot of middle-class players in the NBA that they need to be in a good situation. They need a good coach. They need playing time. They need people coaching them up and sort of talking them up every day until they hit that level where he can go on cruise control the rest of the time. And I always say that a player is who he is after his first contract. After his 5th year is up, that's who they're going to be in the league, and I still firmly believe that. But a player like when you're beat up that much in the first 3 or 4 years, it's almost impossible to sort of recover, because Darko wasn't going to be Hakeem Olajuwon or Kevin McHale, but he was going to be a player that could have been an all-star level player if given the right situation. Again, we see that with Jeremy Lin today, with again given opportunity, given an ultimate green light, coaches coaching them up, and having that ultimate green light to make mistakes and play through those is incredible for players' development. And I think a guy like Darko Milicic is someone that I think could have been a lot better given different circumstances. I'm not sure about other NBA. You guys throw some NBA players at me. We could talk about that.
What's going on with JaVale McGee? Just tell me, please.
That's a great question.
It's funny. JaVale came to us and we worked with him for one day when he was in high school, about to go to Nevada, and I never thought he was going to be the player he is today. But as far as his ability, and JaVale McGee is definitely probably above Darko Milicic as far as a guy with all that talent that really hasn't gotten it. I think that the sooner he figures it out, where he needs to be held accountable and allows coaches to be hold him accountable as far as his effort level every night, his focus and really getting after it. That he'll never become a player if it's going to be this every night and this is going to be the product. He needs to, whatever he's got around him, he needs to isolate, and he needs to just get focused and get with coaches and sort of be more coachable. And because he's always going to have talent, he's going to make millions of dollars. Guys are going to continue to give him contracts, big contracts, because he's got ability and talent. But I just think until he just sort of figures it out that, hey, listen, I'm not going down the right road here. I need to stop listening to who I'm listening to right now and get serious about this. Because the guy could be, he could be in that Andrew Bynum, plateau in the league. He could be a top 5 big man in the league easily. But again, when you're the wrong breed of cat, and when you have this attitude and it just sort of, the way you bring it every day, you're never going to really fulfill how good you could be. You're going to be Mickey Moore, or no offense to Mickey Moore, but you're going to be him. Or there was that guy at a Central Connecticut State, that shot blocker that got his ass kicked on YouTube. I forgot that guy's name. Played with Keith Kloss.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah. And it's just it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm. It's sad.
Oh man. All right, Mike. Well, I don't mean to leave on a down note, but we really appreciate you coming on. This was awesome, and hopefully we can do it again, kind of when we're getting closer to the playoffs and stuff, and kind of talk about what you saw around the league this year and who developed. And this was great. Thanks a lot for coming on.
No problem. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate the offer.